Welcome to Face to Facts. I'm Nick Face, back again for another episode here on Face to Facts. Joining me to my left today is Ryan Sullivan. Welcome back to Face to Facts. Just want to give you a preview for the fall coming up here on Face to Facts. In October of this year, so that would be October 2016, if this show makes it to October 2016. We hope it does. We hope they pick us up. It'll be the 10th year anniversary of Face to Facts. So we have a couple special things that we'll be doing in celebration of that, so stay tuned for more information on that. I can't believe that's been 10 years. I really can't. I don't look that old, I hope. But anyways, we want to jump right into it with the New England Patriots. We know that they're getting ready for their big season that's about to begin for the 2016 year. They are in preseason mode right now. They have already had one preseason game, which was against the Saints. A couple joint practices have been going on. We had the Saints, which was last week, that did their practice. And this week we have the Bears that are in for the Patriots to practice with. It's been nothing but fight week for the Patriots at Gillette Stadium. So very interesting how the blood seems to be boiling already for certain players. We've had Malcolm Butler get into some fights with Alston Jeffrey. A few players have been told to leave and vacate the premises. Wonder if Roger Goodell had anything to do with that. But what do you think about how the Patriots look right now, early beginnings of preseason?
I'm not a big preseason guy. I don't watch most of it, but I think when you look at the roster, they have a lot of talent this year.
Sure do.
I think the addition of Martellus Bennett was huge. They've been trying to find that Aaron Hernandez replacement. I think they found one. I think at this point, I think they're looking really good for a big year.
I'm glad you actually mentioned Mr. Bennett because he was on my checklist of people to talk about. Last year we had Scott Chandler in for the Patriots. Just didn't work.
No.
The Patriots have longed to have that next guy who's going to be that Aaron Hernandez, Gronkowski type thing. It's unfortunate we still talk about Aaron Hernandez to this day right now, but when that pair was together, it was pretty lethal on what they could do for different plays or setups or even cover the two players that are there. Amazingly, Bennett's bigger than Gronk, and I don't think a lot of fans or players or even many people in the league know that. Yeah, Bennett's bigger than Gronk. So imagine Garoppolo or Brady, who's ever back there, getting that ball to one of those players. If Gronk's not open, throw it to Bennett. Now, the key to Bennett is going to be staying healthy. That's been one of his Achilles' heels in a way, is to stay on the field and make sure that he's ready to go throughout a long season. So I love that move. I personally think we're putting our eggs into the basket too much on Dion Lewis. That's a big question. Is he going to come back, and is he going to run like he did before he got hurt? That's big question number one. Number two is a person I think will probably get cut. That's LeGarrette Blount. He's another guy that's out there that gives him the force, but he's not the long runner. He's a guy that's more of that goal line runner that will get you the short distance to get you the touchdown. So that's something that's of a big concern. So the running game is definitely something that, in my opinion, they need a little bit of work on, and they need to figure out what they're going to do on it. They always usually do catch lightning in a bottle with one of those players, though. So maybe, is it Tyler
Gaffney?
Tyler Gaffney might be that player. That might be that Dion Lewis type guy. He's my guy that I would say that could possibly be that wild card, that surprise, that really. That guy that takes over and gets the job done. That's my surprise player. That's who I feel is going to be there. Another thing that I'm not as concerned with as the start of last year, but something that definitely needs some help is the offensive line.
Yes.
Now, Dante Scarnecchia is back as the offensive line coach. He's the guru of making sure that he's got the best type players ready to go in that position. Now, what he's doing is he has 5 players that he's going to be working with. He's not going to be working with the rotation like we did from before. 6, 7, 8, 9 players from there. So what they're looking for out of the offensive line is that consistency. What do you think about the line?
I think the line is an underrated part of the game. I think a lot of people, say, oh, this team's not going to, this team's going to be good because they have a great quarterback and wide receiver. But I think if you don't have a good offensive line, I think it puts a lot of pressure on Tom Brady. I mean, you saw in the Broncos game in the playoffs, you saw the pass rush and the offensive line was being blown down, and Brady didn't even get a chance to throw the ball. So, but I think at this point, I think our offensive line, I think is average, maybe a little below average. I don't think it's a huge problem right now, though.
Okay. I like how the coach came back, though. He was retired for a couple of years. That's big. That shows me that they want to improve. They want to get better. They want to get back to the top. Most importantly, though, to me, the offensive line, I think it's pivotal this year. And here's the reason why. Brady's another year older. They have got to protect better. Brady's had way too many hits last year. Way too many. He's getting older. You do not want to see him have to go down as much as he did last year. So for me, offensive line, that to me is probably number one on my list. It's good. It's got to be better. So that's why I have that as one of my top things up there. Now, one thing that they're saying down at Gillette Stadium is Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, we know we have to get prepared for him for 4 games, whether we like it or not. What do you think his performance will be like as an NFL starting quarterback?
I'm a little mismatched. I think he'll do a solid job. I don't think he's gonna break out and be like Tom Brady, but I don't think he's gonna be that bad that he's gonna be 0-4. Honestly, I don't think he really matters that much because I think it's only 4 games. I think if Gronk and Bennett, if they're able to make plays, I think they'll help him out. But at this point, I'm not that impressed with Garoppolo. I think of him as kind of like a Mark Sanchez type, turnover friendly, but has
Butt
some
fumbler.
upside. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those types. What I like a lot about this team and what we've seen from even a couple years from now, a lot of guys are settling into a defensive role. I think this team has become more defensive oriented with Butler and Malcolm Brown and all sorts of players that are there that are going to take over the game. In a way, I feel Garoppolo's not going to have to be anything special. If he's average, I can still see them going 4-0. Worst case scenario, 3-1. Their toughest opponent in the upcoming schedule is the first game of the year, Arizona. So in my eyes, I see the defense hopefully being able to contribute to all those wins that I'm accounting for right now and making sure that they're going to be okay without Brady being on the field. That's how I look at it as. I think that the guys that are there on defense are ready to take over and show the league you don't have to we're not just an offensive team. We're going to win on the defensive side of the ball too. I think that'd be huge. That's how I look at that. Now, with Garoppolo, what we've heard so far down in the camp is that he isn't doing enough. He's working hard. It's just he's not on target with his receivers right now. A lot of that has something to do with players not being on the field as much. They're kind of making sure Gronk isn't going to get hurt. They're making sure Edelman isn't going to suffer any other issues with his foot and everything there. So getting on the same page might be a little bit more of a challenge right now because you're using guys that might not even be on this roster. So I'm not looking into it too much on how Garoppolo's been so far. I would rather see how he goes about with his business in these preseason games and gets more, acclimated to what the system of the Patriots is. That's what I look at from there. I want to shift gears. You want to move over to the Red Sox. The Red Sox deserve a lot of talk right now because they've been a roller coaster of a team this entire 2016 season. They've had their ups, they've had their downs, but the number one thing with the Red Sox has been they haven't really been consistent yet. So we're going to talk about what we feel on how the Red Sox are going to be. We're at a crucial stage for them. We're at the tail of August here. September is a huge month for them, but there is a massive road trip that the Red Sox are on right now. 11 games. They have basically a 5-city tour in 4 days, amazingly. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and see what we feel are, the Red Sox going to be like. So without further ado, we have a big trip The trip consists of Cleveland, consists of the Orioles for 2 games, and then it consists of going to Detroit for an afternoon game on a Thursday at 1 o'clock, right after a 7 o'clock game. And then they go to Tampa for 4 games. Then they come back home. So it's a pretty grueling stretch right here for the Red Sox. It's a big test for them. We don't want to give away when we're recording this show for you, but so far the road trip has been excellent. It's been better than I could have imagined. They just finished up a homestand at Fenway Park where we had the Yankees from last week. The Yankees were the team that sold off all their parts for the trade deadline. They're trying to get younger, trying to get better, and they could not take care of business. So that was a series that the Red Sox lost 2 out of 3 to, A-Rod's finale tour. The Diamondbacks came. We ended up getting 3 games out of there. Some games were a little bit challenging, but the Sunday game was a great start. That gets us to Cleveland now. So did you get a chance to see that game or hear about that game?
I wasn't.
So Cleveland's game was a makeup from back in April. They had a rainout game. So they had to travel to Cleveland for a 1 o'clock game. You saw the best start of the season and possibly of his career from Drew Pomeranz. That was the guy that we got from a trade. That was a great sign to see. But one of the things that has been kind of shaky has been the bullpen. Let's talk about the bullpen. Who in your eyes do you have confidence in the bullpen with right now? He said it right there.
Yeah, I'm not confident in any of them. I think if you're going into moving forward, if you got a 1 or 2 run lead, or even 3 or 4 run lead going into the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, I think the lead is not safe right now. It's been bad. Our bullpen has really been underperforming right now.
Well, at the trade deadline, we picked up a guy, Fernando Abad. He came from the Twins, left-handed reliever. Released Tommy Lane. Abad has been horrible. Horrible. He's a guy that cannot be trusted now in high-pressure situations with the game on the line. Abad, amazingly, pitched on Monday afternoon as soon as Pomeranz was done, and he actually got a pop-up in the end of the threat that the Indians put up. Now, the guy that you traded some of your top prospects for during the offseason, which was Craig Kimbrell to come in. Kimbrell came into that game. Kimbrell's coming off. He had that ligament problem with his knee. So, meniscus, that's what it was. Excuse me. Kimbrell's been shaky. I think he's been shaky all year. I expected more from Kimbrell. He throws the ball hard, which is fine, but he walks the ballpark. That can't happen as a closer. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think Kimbrell was probably the number 1 closer in Atlanta for like 4 years.
Yep.
He was so consistent, I think. And when the Red Sox got him, I was pumped. It was like, we got the best closer. That's huge steps for us.
Yep.
But I believe his ERA is like over 3 right now, and
yeah, it's the walk rate. His ERA is so high because it's not during save situations. It's non-save situations. For instance, a tie game.
Yeah.
Maybe they bring him in a 5-4 deficit. He just does not perform in those games. So that's when he allows all those hits and runs to score. In order for this team to be going anywhere, it has to start from your top. Number 1 was starting pitching, which has been much better since the All-Star break. Much better. They have like a 2.65 ERA since the All-Star break. It's been much better. Starting pitching is not the problem. The problem is your bullpen. Now, the numbers are deceiving. It's going to say that the earned run average might be good or they get their job done. It's those clutch situations that matter. Kimbrell walking the ballpark on Monday, he allowed a double, then a walk, and just a lot of 3-2 counts. He doesn't get the job done quick like maybe Koji did with 11 pitches and he's done. Mm-hmm. Kimbrell has to work hard. So that makes a little bit more of a challenge to make sure the job gets done. It was a week ago that Farrell had to come out and pull Kimbrell because he walked 4 guys in the Yankees series. We had to go to Matt Barnes to close the door. We cannot afford to have that happen going forward. I would say one of the more trusted guys in your bullpen actually comes from Brad Ziegler. Ziegler's come in. He's the submariner type that can get that easy ground ball. He's a sinker ball pitcher. So he's somebody that I feel should get high leverage situations there. I think you have to continue to go with Kimbrel. You have to. He's your guy. That's fine. He's been doing the save opportunities fine. It's a little scary. But Ziegler needs to be your 8th inning guy. Another thing that we have to be ready for is when rosters expand September 1st. You have some guys in Pawtucket who have actually been throwing the ball pretty decently. You haven't seen Joe Kelly in a while. He's been doing okay. Heath Hembry has had an okay year with the Red Sox. They can call him back up. Plus, you have 2 guys in the starting rotation down there who have actually come back to life a little bit. That's Henry Owens and Brian Johnson. So those 2 guys could help solidify additional pitchers that you might need. I personally, I always was a fan of Papelbon's. I think the Red Sox lack somebody that has game experience, that has some fire, that has some intensity. They don't have that. They don't have that experience or that trustworthy person, I feel, when the games get tough that they might need. So I say, why not? If you can put him in a 6th or 7th role, hey, it's better than Tazawa. Tazawa is done. His arm is fried. Farrell's just used him way too much. I think that the more arms, the better in a situation like this. Like I said, we're on a big road trip right now. They had their game in Cleveland, which was a great win. The Baltimore series was fantastic as well. We had some great clutch hitting. We had some big pitching coming through in the clutch once again. But you cannot mention any of this without one specific player, and that's Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, in my eyes, is the MVP of the American League right now. What do you think?
I wouldn't say he's MVP. I think he's the MVP of our team. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's the best player in the AL though.
Who do you think it is?
Who else?
Back it up.
I think Jose Altuve.
You think Altuve?
Yeah.
I like Altuve. His average is about 360, 16 homers, good amount of RBIs. When push comes to shove, when the MVP comes, usually it comes from your August and September months. If Altuve is able to lead the Astros to playoffs, there definitely should be a discussion there. But because the Red Sox right now are the wild card team and could potentially by the end of this week be your first place team in the American League East, I have to look at Mookie and say the numbers that he's putting up are amazing. He has, as of right now, close to 25 home runs and almost 100 RBIs, hitting at about a 320 average. Did you expect this? I did not expect this. No. Mookie's never been a power hitter. We have him now solidifying the third or fourth hole in the lineup. Yeah. I mean, we were concerned about Ortiz retiring. I think with his presence right here in the lineup, I think that we're going to be okay with what we have right now. Now, Mookie seems like he's definitely, I can understand you not saying it right now, but this debate can continue until the end of September comes. I definitely see Mookie as definitely a top 3 player. I can see Josh Donaldson as another one and Altuve as the other top 3 in the American League for the MVP. Now, another thing that we need to think about, can the Red Sox continue on the streak that they're going right now? As of this date, they have won their last 6 in a row. So they have been doing much better. Can this continue?
I don't think so. I mean, we've seen this road before. We've seen these streaks. I think it's going to come to an end. I honestly think we're going to go on a losing streak. I'm not convinced the Red Sox are a legitimate playoff team.
You're still not?
No.
What are they missing?
I think they're missing pitching. I think all around. I think bullpen. I think I think they have.
Even with the starters being better than they've been since the All-Star break, they are the 3rd best team. Let me think. They're the 3rd best team right now in baseball with quality starts for starting pitchers.
I think the starting pitchers. I think they're going to start to slow down, come back to earth, and I think some of our pop from our hitters, honestly, I think is going to slow down a little bit. I still think, I feel like every month we're like, wow, I think the Red Sox are going to slow down with hitting, and they seem to keep on a steady pace. So I'm impressed from what they've done hitting standpoint, but...
Would your opinion change after this road trip?
No, I'm still not convinced that John Farrell can take the Red Sox to a playoff team.
Okay, I like that call with Farrell. I don't either. But remember 2000, maybe you know, maybe you don't. 2013, did the Red Sox win because of John Farrell?
No.
No, it was players. In my eyes, it's up to the players to decide what they're going to do here. I think right now we're seeing the best baseball they've played. The consistency, though, has been their key thing. Can it continue? I can't answer that question right now. I know you are. I'm not going to answer that question right now. We're in a wait-and-see mode because right now, if they continue what they're doing, they will be a playoff team. The question is, where will they get, or what will they get to when the playoffs come? So, before I close out the Red Sox with today's show, I want to ask you, who is the most surprising player on this team? Maybe there's a few. Name some names. Who deserves surprising recognition?
I think Mookie Betts has to be number one.
Okay.
I think Sandy Leone
Yep.
is up there. I think Rick Porcello is up there.
Absolutely. Rick Porcello has a chance to be the Cy Young Award winner in the American League, which is shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. How about Andrew Benintendi? What do you think of him?
I've been impressed so far. I mean, his average is like 382 right now. I've been impressed with what he's done, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he improves the rest of the season and into next year.
What I like about Benintendi a lot is you can tell how tough he is.
Yeah.
Amazingly, since he's been called up, usually a left-handed batter does not hit well against left-handed pitching. He's been great against left-handed pitching. He's hitting like 370 against them, which is great. We want to see that. I love his swing, and here's why. He goes to all fields when he hits that ball. If the ball is outside, he's going to left field. If it's in, he'll drive it to right field. So what I like about that is his ability to play the game as best he can. I really do. I think the future's really high for him. But my biggest surprise of the season, see, Porcello's put up certain numbers like this before with Detroit, so I'm happy to see him kind of come back to consistency here. Sandy Leone, this was your fourth string catcher. Fourth string catcher before the season started. Where is this coming from?
I think it's a big part that he doesn't play every day. I think that's a big part, giving him rest. But I have to be honest, I didn't even hear this guy before this season. And he's been consistently, I mean, it feels like every game he plays, like every 3 games he hits a home run. It's like, this guy could be
He's been phenomenal, and I can't think of another player who was not even on the radar screen here. He's your starting catcher right now, your starting catcher, and he's putting up 370 for numbers, consistently getting a hit day in and day out, which is amazing. We hope the Red Sox continue to go on their path that they're doing. We do want to close the show out here with our top 5 fantasy picks of the day. So the top 5 fantasy picks of 2016 is what we're going to finish off our show here today. This is our top 5 segment that we do at the end of our program. Makes it a little interesting to think about who you might pick in your fantasy leagues this upcoming year. So we're going to break it down by quarterback, we're going to go running back, and we're going to go wide receiver and finish off with our kicker. So, actually, we need to put tight end in there too. We have to put tight end. You know what? To make it even better, we'll put the defense into. Why the heck not? Okay? Quarterback, we'll lead it off with that. Do you have anybody on the top of your list that you would take?
Are we going number 1? Or?
Just one player if you can think of it.
I think the number 1 fantasy quarterback is going to be Aaron Rodgers this year.
I picked Aaron Rodgers last year. I picked him. He didn't do as well. So it's making me think again on what I might want to do for a quarterback. And the one I'm going to take a wild card on, because he did have quite a fantasy year, it's Russell Wilson. He had a great fantasy football season last year. So the amount of points that he put up from there. So I might, if I'm in a league and I have a chance to pick him, I might do that. But when week 5 comes, you know who I'm taking? Tom Brady. Running back. Do you have a favorite?
I think number 1's got to be Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
I think from 2014, missed the whole year, came back in 2015. He led the NFL in carries, rushing yards, and touchdowns. I mean, the guy's just out of the world. I mean, I think you got to take him.
I think I have to agree on that. I'm trying to think of other players that are in the league that are running back style players that could have a chance to put up something. Le'Veon Bell's suspended, correct? So that was another name that I might have considered, but if you want consistency, I think you go with Adrian Peterson. I do. I think that's the move. Going to wide receiver, this one, there's a lot of names that you could put in there. A lot of names. Do you have one that in particular you might want to take?
I think Antonio Brown has to be an obvious, but I'm going to go with sleeper Keenan Allen this year. I think he's going to have a huge year.
I like that name.
I think top 5 this year, I think.
Keenan Allen was hurt last year, is that right?
Yeah, he played the first half.
Okay.
He was on pace for like 150 catches. And then he was hurt.
I like that name a lot. I also think that Julian Edelman will put up some good numbers this year if he stays healthy. I'm going to throw a wild card too. I've always liked this guy from the Buccaneers, Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been a very solid player. He might be really trying to find his own in the league now. So that could be a player to watch out for there too. This is going to be a year without Calvin Johnson. So that's going to be weird on a lot of people's teams playing without him on any kind of list there. So I like Mike Evans as my sleeper there too. Let's go to tight end. That's pretty easy.
I think it's automatic Rob Gronkowski every year if he's healthy.
If you can get Martellus Bennett and Gronk as your tight ends, that'd be pretty cool if you can do that in your fantasy. I'm going with Gronk again so long as he stays healthy. What's going on with Jimmy Graham?
Is he coming back? No, is he still?
He might still be hurt
He might be still
because he's with the Seahawks. Is that right?
Yeah.
It didn't go as well over there with him. Tyler Eifert is another guy for the Bengals, who's a pretty decent size that might have some fantasy stock a little bit if you think about him, if you want to draft him. And then kickers. Who's your kicker?
Steven Gostkowski, I think. Another automatic, just like Rob Gronkowski.
Yep.
I mean, every year he's top 1 pretty much. I mean,
he's better than Adam Vinatieri, don't you think?
I think he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
After everything's all said and done, I mean, Adam helped us win a great amount of Super Bowls. Can never take that away from him. But Gostkowski has been, in my opinion, even better kicker. So Gostkowski is who I take as my kicker there as well. Do you have a defense that you might want to take?
I'm big on the Rams defense. I think they're legit. I think they got rid of Laurinaitis and Chris Long. I think a sleeper on that defense is Alec Ogletree. I think he's going to have a huge year.
Okay.
Now filling in Laurinaitis' place at middle linebacker.
You think the Rams might be a sleeper team this year too?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Plus they moved. LA Rams now. So that's another thing that's in their favor too. Hope you enjoyed our top 5 segment here for fantasy. That's coming soon to a lot of people going to get started to draft their own teams, and football will be here before you know it. So, for Ryan Sullivan, I want to thank him for joining us on Face to Facts. I'm Nick Face, and we will see you next time again on Face to Facts. Have a good one.